Major League show jumping to Mexico this week, to the beautiful city of Monterrey, as we race towards the finals of Major League show jumping in California.
We certainly do, and where better to come to than here to La Silla. Behind us, the saddle mountain that gives this its name, but also, of course, it's a venue of legends, famous for horses and riders for the tournaments over the years. The world's very best are won in the grounds here in Monterrey, and what better place to continue that legacy?
Yes, as ever, the first day of the top-level show jumping action will be the qualifier. This will set the order for the Grand Prix, which will be on the third day. And we've got a fantastic host of horses and riders to come.
Certainly do. Looking forward to it. And here we go into this week's Grand Prix qualifier.
We bring Major League show jumping to Mexico this week, to the beautiful city of Monterrey, as we race towards the finals of Major League show jumping in California.
We certainly do, and where better to come to than here to La Silla. Behind us, the saddle mountain that gives this its name, but also, of course, it's a venue of legends, famous for horses and riders for the tournaments over the years. The world's very best are won in the grounds here in Monterrey, and what better place to continue that legacy?
Yes, as ever, the first day of the top-level show jumping action will be the qualifier. This will set the order for the Grand Prix, which will be on the third day. And we've got a fantastic host of horses and riders to come.
Certainly do. Looking forward to it. And here we go into this week's Grand Prix qualifier. Well, a very good afternoon and welcome to Monterrey in Mexico, and building up to our first major class of the week as part of Major League Jumping here. And it is a 5-star week, as you'd expect as part of the Major League Series, and takes us to this stop in Mexico and then one final stage to make the hop to, and that will be in California in a few weeks' time. 2 weeks of competition there with the finals of each of the stages, with a massive Grand Prix and the team competition finale as well. So that all to look forward to. In the meantime, we are enjoying one of the great historic sites of the sport of show jumping here in Monterrey, La Silla. It's been a venue for the world's best over a long period of history, and that new history is being added to it all the time as we bring new faces from the sport right through to 2023 that are upcoming and the well-established as well, competing alongside each other here in this wonderful position here in Monterrey. Here's the start list for the Grand Prix qualifier, and we're going to start off with Dermot Lennon, talking about big winners. The previous world champion of Ireland will be the first, and good to see we've got a few of the European combinations competing here, alongside, of course, Mexico, Canada, USA, all into the equation here too. Dermot Lennon and Milview Cicero building the next generation of horses for him. 9-year-old Irish bred by Cicero van Pamel from the line of Royal Dutch for the Irishman, who's also been competing at a number of... There's been a long string of big 5-star shows here in Mexico over the last few weeks, from Jalapa through to San Miguel de Allende and here to Monterrey as well. Course designer this week is Anthony Ambrosio of the USA. And so this is the opening competition of the week. It's the first serious competition of the week for those in the 5-star sections, in the sense it's big prize money, and this also counts towards qualifying for the Grand Prix here on Sunday as well. Therefore, this class, this competition is going to include things like the water jump in preparation for the rest of the week as well. Skinny there at fence 5. Should be able to cope with most of the distances here. Time allowed, as you can probably see on the screens, is 77 seconds. And alongside me is Hannah Robson to take us through this as well. One stride through the double here, and Dermot with a string that's building up for him. You see come back to the water. We might see come even a little bit of a tighter line down there for a few of the more experienced combinations as well, but hops over nicely over the water. Longish track with 13 fences on the course, but 77 seconds, meaning it's a fairly medium route, if you like, around. That was what I was expecting in terms of if it was going to be a long track. It might be up in the 80s, but we're in the high 70s. Big arena to work with here in Monterrey, and this taking them down the final line, just on the 4 faults for Dermot Lennon. And there, another one adding to the score. Coming home on the 8 at 75.81. Nice round for the 9-year-old Milview Cicero, and just inside the time, 75.81. Big week this week, Hannah, as ever, and delighted to be back here in Monterrey. A little bit dull today in terms of the weather. It was pretty spectacular yesterday. Yeah, it's getting there.
Yeah, we've gone a little bit more overcast today, a little bit more dampness, but it's absolutely perfect footing in this ring, this stunning grass arena, and we're framed by the mountains here, as you could see from those earlier shots of this absolutely beautiful venue. A venue with so much history, but visually stunning as well. You can just see the VIP area at the back of the ring there, but plenty of seating for spectators. Really great hospitality on offer here as well. And we've got a great lineup of riders and horses to bring you. We've got Olympic, World Championship and European Championship medalists here this week. But what they're trying to do today is get into the Grand Prix. And we've had some really tough courses here in the last couple of years at the Major League show jumping legs here in Monterrey. Last year's, of course, won on the grass by Lily Keenan.
Absolutely. And Santiago Lambre of Brazil has been going really well too. Chaco Blue the second. Super combination. And with Santiago, with the horse that was second in the Grand Prix. Very different arena, Angelstone, but I mean, that's the test as well. It's smaller, compact arena there, big open grass arena here, but again, that's where you're looking for the durability of a combination together. Finished so well at Spruce Meadows as well, out on the grass, so got a track record of that too. And as you mentioned, he's a man who's meets up to what we were talking about already in terms of Pan Am Games, Olympic Games, World Championships, and should handle this pretty well for Chaco Blue. The second I would expect to see here, 16-year-old stallion, you'll be amazed to know is by Chaco Blue, of course one of the most prolific stallions around, and that didn't take too much working out. A little bit more experienced combination. Like I said, Dermot Lennon came a little bit wider there, a little bit more confidence from Santiago Lambre, and on a horse that's a good 7 years older in experience. This line along the VIP area. Distances, nothing too tricky out there. The option down there can go 6 if you're really pushing down there. A little bit tighter on the 7, but might be more comfortable on the 7.
Yeah, there's a few places which, as you say, you could take an option, but generally they're quite straightforward distances. It's more where you could take a tighter line, you know, for example, back to the water there. That's one place you could save some time, but
not needed for Santiago Lambre.
No, last fence just dropping as well, makes it 8 on course at 75.03 for Santiago and Chaco Blue the second. And the significance of this as well, which we mentioned a little bit earlier on, is the fact that this counts towards the Grand Prix in terms of the order as well, because across this class and tomorrow's class as well, the Grand Prix itself, the order of that goes in a reverse of how they finish individually. So you're getting points across those two. Ideally, you want to be, and this sounds strange in any sport, but this is the point, you go last. Which actually in this sport means you get the best spot. This man's been in the number one spot plenty of times this year, including in Wellington, Florida, when he won the Rolex Grand Prix with this horse, Sapano Balubay, and owned by Veronica Tracy, who's actually riding in this class as well. But Richie Vogel in the saddle, the German rider. Again, several of the German riders we've got here this week. Few of the Europeans here, which is great to see, and they've been competing across those 5 stars here in Mexico, and they're pretty well all heading up to California as well, so that's going to be looking forward to 2 big weeks there with some massive players coming out. But this is just a very big week in its own right, and is a good curtain raiser towards that final 2. But Richie Vogel and Sapano Balubay, still only 9, and that was a big thing of the horse winning a major Grand Prix earlier on this season at 9 years of age by Sharman, which was a top horse with one Lugabeba, memory serves. And again, it's finding that balance between having had some really good results. They had a really good result as well in Atomi a few weeks ago, setting up nicely for coming here.
Yeah, they've certainly been more and more consistent as the year has progressed, because this combination have only been competing together since January of this year, but they had a great win in Aachen in a 5-star class as well, and that's such a hugely competitive place to compete. Of course, incredible fields, but as you say, you know, we are heading towards the final. And the key thing to think about as well with this leg is that we don't actually have the top 3 from our individual standings here, but it's so closely matched. This is a really good opportunity for some of the other riders to get the points, and it becomes really competitive up there.
Absolutely. So again, that will potentially put some new faces in there to maybe gain some points up. Just put the last few points in the locker before the final stage to keep the pressure on. Coming home well so far, just such a lovely combination together. He's also got United Touch with us as well, which is a superb jumping horse that he won the Stuttgart World Cup qualifier on last year. But Sapano Balubay, again, belies his years a little bit as well as a 9-year-old, and just so consistently pops up another clear round, 71.13. But again, based on what those two have achieved this year, they should cope with that without too much trouble, and they do. So putting that first clear on the board for Richard Vogel at 71.13. Time allowed, as I say, is 77. So that shows there is some breathing space there. I did talk to Anthony, course designer, beforehand. He said those, you know, the more experienced combinations should deal with that easily enough. And again, they'll come a little bit tight to the water, we've seen, but there's room in there to prep them for the week. Erin Ballard now of Canada. Libido van Hofken, a 12-year-old for Erin. Not seen this one too much.
Yeah, this is just their 3rd show together, actually. Hasn't jumped in too many competitions so far with Erin. They've in fact jumped 4 classes so far. And out of those, they placed in the top 10 in 3, retired in 1, but crucially, they haven't dropped a single pole together yet in FAI competition. So that's a pretty impressive start for this combination.
I don't want to burst anyone's bubble, but that will happen eventually.
Eventually. But a great start. Always good to get a good few rounds under the belt, good few clears, and, you know, certainly some people start partnerships and don't have a clear for a while, but not a problem for this bear.
Certainly not a problem for this lady, who's so superb at building a quick partnership with the horse. Just going so nicely through that double already. 12 years of age, so it's a horse with miles on the clock as well, which is great. Comes over that water jump with confidence. Little kick back there, a little bit frisky and exuberant. And just quietening them down into this double. It's a nice shot through there as well. No, she's not under too much time pressure here. Good turn back there. Doesn't leave a lot of wasted space back there either. She's
been quite efficient, hasn't she? She's been quite clever, making sure that she's not wasting any time anywhere. But the horse is pretty quick across the ground as well, you can see there.
A little bit tighter at the final fence there. He just travelled down, got a little bit tighter than they probably intended to that final fence. So clear, 74.50 gives us the second of the clears there with Erin Ballard and Libido van Hofken. Drifts a little after that plank, but there is a little bit of a bend in the line there. Comes nicely through here, just bounces through that double. Cian O'Connor and Maurice for the Irishman, and again, very good to see Cian O'Connor a part of the shows here, and going to be part of Major League coming into this final stages as well. Man with huge experience, he's going to be on the Crusaders team as well, and for him, from Olympic medals through to, of course, part of World Championships, European team gold medalist, certainly again lifts up the game of all those competing.
Yeah, it's great to have riders of this calibre in the field, and we've got a lot of them here today, and actually it's something that we've come to expect really from Major League show jumping. You know, 2 of the world's top 10 featuring on teams as well. Cian joining the Crusaders for this latter part of the season.
Give me a little bit of background on Maurice of what we've got so far. Again, it's a newer combination this year, isn't he? I mean, he's so good at bringing horses through to the top level.
Yeah, exactly, and it's an interesting one to watch here because these fences are up to 1.55 m in height. Maurice is a little bit more established up to the kind of the 150 height. They're 45% of the time clear over 150 fences, 47% of the time into the top 10. So quite consistent. And you can see that Cian is working here to really establish Maurice and get the clears and get the good results as they go up the heights of the fences as well. But certainly quite a powerful horse, and one that I'm sure won't struggle on the time either. And it'll be great to see them progress up through the levels. An 11-year-old gelding here as well. So.
Yeah,
jump 5. Just be stepping up.
Horse that was jumping 5 stars with Omar Karayevli of Turkey previous to that, and now in the very capable hands of Cian O'Connor as well. Maurice getting the clear, 73.05, and again, unsurprisingly, starts to cope with that very well. Gets us 3 clears on the bounce, but 3 class combinations as well with Richard Vogel and Sapano Balabay, Erin Ballard and Libido, and now Cian O'Connor and Maurice. See about the water. No trouble at all there. Well onto dry land without any trouble. And taking us on to Jose Alberto Martinez Vasquez now, and the 14-year-old Quinley. A few more experienced horses in here. A few 9-year-olds coming up, which is going to be interesting to see. Carlos San Guerrero with a 9-year-old, and Emanuele Camilli of Italy, and a few others in here. But again, plenty of experience in here. We've got 15-year-old rides coming up in the likes of Nevados with the superb Gregory Wathley as well. So it's going to be an interesting week. Quinley, I say 14 years of age, German-bred Holsteiner by Quintero for Jose Alberto.
Pretty established partnership here. This was Jose Alberto's horse for the World Championships last year, those being in Herning. Rode on the Mexican team. As you say, at 14, you know, they're quite established here. Just a shame to take that skinny fence down.
Rain just intensifying again at the moment. Nothing torrential, but enough to certainly make you damp. Gives a little bit more space back to the water here. Steps over it, no trouble. But again, couple down at this point. Give them a good experience over that. They've done it plenty of times before. He's been through to Pan Am Games, as you say, World Championships. Pair that finished 7th in the Grand Prix in Otomi on the grass a few weeks ago. Lovely grass arena there as well. Again, completely different setting, but
they've been quite consistent really as well this year. A lot of top 10 placings.
Just starts to get a little bit tight for 1 or 2 down to the last. On the 8, 74.72 for Jose Alberto, and Quinley this time around goes into 4th place. Plank stays on top there without too much trouble. Just rolls the pole coming down that line, but that's when it really is definitely coming down to the ground on both of those occasions. Steps over the water with ease. Ricky Belinda Barker of Denmark, and Tabalu PS, the Oldenburg by Talubay Z. Again, we don't need to say it too many times. The great horses that go on for the next generation. Talubay that was with, of course, Christian Alman of Germany. And Ricky Belinda Barker, another new face onto this side of the Atlantic. Some of these shows as well. And again, she's been competing in the last few weeks. A number of them also been out in Spain, then headed out to the shows here. It's going to be interesting to see a few staying on from the likes of California through the winter time, etc. But Ricky, who was on the European Championship squad this year in for Denmark, in Italy for the European Championships, finished well in the 5-star in San Miguel as well. Was on the Nations Cup team for Denmark in Switzerland, in St. Gallen, back into the summer. Another big grass arena then as well.
Yeah, they're an established partnership with those championship appearances. As you say, this is an 11-year-old stallion. It has quite a strong clip there at that fence, but that can sometimes have the effect of making them be a little bit more careful as the rest of the round progresses. Yeah, first Major League show for Rikke.
Water a little bit on the angle. Kind of just rained back there for the 7, but it was the fence before that was costing them. Again, speed comes in there.
Just quite quick down to the double, I think, there, and that was the pace just caused them to just clip that front pole. She's not hasn't got too much time here. Might just
going to squeeze over the time allowed. 77.08 on the 5 for Rikke Belinda Barker and Tabalu PS. Again, first appearance on the big stage in this arena as well. This will be a really good building experience for her. Some nice elements into that round as well. Super over the oxer there. Again, came off this double well, up to the water with confidence. Stepped over that. Manuele Camilli and Odense Oudeveld for Italy. 9-year-old by De Montesimi, Belgian bred, for the Italian rider. European Championships actually this year. He was top 25 there, competed at the World Championships last year. Finished second in the Grand Prix in Atomi in the last few weeks as well. So he's a good, I hate to call it preparation run because they were big 5-stars in their own right, but you know, you should be getting into a groove, let me put it that way by now, having had those shows in the last few weeks. And a lot of them, in fact nearly all of them here in Mexico on grass as well. So they've been in Jalapa, they've been in San Miguel, and then here to Monterrey. So it should be familiar ground now, let me put it that way.
Yeah, good to get into a rhythm, certainly. And as you say, they jumped so well in San Miguel. You know, earlier on in the year, they did some really high-profile competitions outside Mexico as well. Came third in the Longines Grand Prix at Falsterbo in the summer. And generally across all heights that this horse jumps at, he's over 50% of the time clear. So the consistency is there as well, and certainly having set the scene for this kind of competition and to have the rhythm.
Yeah, really took the pace down between 4 and 5, coming down to that little skinny, dropped it right down, went to almost a little stride down there. Similarly to down there, we're saying they can go to 6 all like they did down the 7 down there as well. And here comes quite tight up to make up a little bit of that ground as they go. They should be absolutely fine for time. And then when they were over at the water, they could really open up and travel. There we go, 74.08, that's how to do it. Manuele Camilli and Odense Oudeveld will give us clear round number 4 of the class now.
Good few clears already, half the field.
Very classy combinations. Early on, like I say, that point there really could let run. Now, normally you'd be looking at a mountain at that point. That's how it is how cloudy it is.
The visibility is a little shorter.
Yesterday we were sitting in awe of the mountainside around us, and it looks as though it doesn't exist today, like it isn't there. I can assure you, if you could pull back the curtains and just stretch that all back, there's a stunning mountainside behind it, but it's still pretty spectacular close by as well, from what we've got to.
Yeah, it is, and actually, you know, it's we've had a few competitions with a little bit of wet weather, but you know, this is certainly not the not the worst of it. It's just a bit damp.
We've had some damp qualifiers so far this
We
season.
have had
Let's
some
get
damp
to
qualifiers.
it. Let's look through some of those coming up as well. Conteswell, you just saw, was on the next few as well. Again, a few more coming from Europe. Zoe Conter, Gregory Watherley, which if you're not so familiar with him, we'll explain that a little later, but you probably are because he's won the likes of the Aachen Grand Prix. Ireland's Jordan Coyle, Patricio Pascal of Mexico, who's again a very familiar face on their championship teams as well. So it's a nice mix. It's a really world-class mix. There's Conteswell and Theo 160. 11-year-old by Christian 25 for this whole style that we've seen plenty of times.
Yeah, we have. Connor's a pretty firm fixture on the Major League show jumping circuit, been absolutely instrumental in the success of the Trelawney Trailblazers. He's actually only dropped 1 pole across 11 rounds of jumping for the Trailblazers this year so far. With Theo, he is clear 71% of the time this year to date, but they're in the top 10 more than 70% of the time at this kind of level. Really, really consistent. Connor has a great string of horses at the moment that he uses both for the teams and here for the Grand Prix, and is just always consistent.
So we're talking 150, like when you're saying 71%.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Through there with Connor, no trouble. Again, I would expect this pair to deal with this. There's a close-up shot of the water, but we do have a water jump judge there to decide it. But there we go. We see they clear it without any trouble at all. Good few feet. He's just holding down there as well. Most of them talking to them. It's more comfortable on the 7.
Again, he's quite tight back there, isn't he? Not wasting any time.
Yeah, and also just, I was going to say, sets them up for that line as he has the fence down.
Oh, what a shame.
Didn't come off as they would have wanted, actually, in the end. Just got a little unsettled down at the final run there. On the 8 at 73.72 for Conteswell and Theo 160. Yeah, it's just come up tight.
Yeah, just unsettled down the final line in the end. Yeah, and there you can see it just ended up being a bit too close to the last.
That was all, yeah, not what they would have wanted at the last. Let's leave it at that. And let's go on to our next, and we're going to Martina Franco Stefan and Douce Moraude d'Or, 10-year-old by Universe d'Or. He's a French bred, as you probably guessed from the name. Horse for the next to go for Mexico, and for her, well, younger rider here at 21 years of age. And already been a junior team gold medalist. That's going back a couple of years now. When she was, of course, that's the under-18s for those not familiar with that. And already had 5-star wins in Jalapa in the last few weeks as well. It's part of the big 5 stars there. When I say 5 stars, that is the biggest in terms of what we have scale of shows and events.
Yeah, it's great to see Martina as a young rider doing so well at the very top level. She was very successful at the youth levels, 4 North American Youth Championships on her CV and 2 medals across those, but really pretty consistent. It's a shame to have fence coming down this line towards the double down there, fence 6. Just came quite quickly around the turn. Here we just see the water again, no problem there. And again, it's a combination who, she hasn't jumped too much at the meter 55, meter 60 level. Just 1 start at 160 level, but at 150, they're just under half of the time clear out, but only out of 7 starts. So again, it's a combination that we're just seeing really getting the miles on the clock and developing the partnership at this higher level.
Good round, I think, happy enough with that as well. Just a little bit disappointed with the 8, but there was a start of a smile and then a realisation of the score, but there was a nice round of applause as well there. And say they're a step up in gear for them coming into this too. They have had a nice chance to get into the run of the last few weeks of the 5 stars in Mexico. They just start to get down that line and they're just hold, and they're not sure whether to go a little bit further off, which is going to look quite a long way off and probably have the same results. Carlos Sancarero and H5 Portos. Maestro WH set to get the full title for the 9-year-old by Picasso Zebra. Hopefully it's a nice picture. And so far we're looking at the 4 clears in this class. He's also joining the teams this season as well, going on to Team KPF, Kent Farrington's team, for the final closing stages of the year as well. And again, being a 9-year-old, hasn't done too much at this level, so this is a good chance for him to step up.
Yeah, nice to see them stepping up, and as you say, at only 9 years old, it's a perfect opportunity to do that, step up the levels and get the miles on the clock, and he's certainly been doing that with this horse. He took this one over to jump around Europe earlier on in the year. Been in the top 10 8 times in different competitions, and we've just seen the skinny fence at fence 5 causing problems again. It's fallen quite a few times as people are just kind of running down the line from 4.
Carlos has had a string of horses out in Spain in the last few weeks as well. Again, ground there to be able to develop a massive group of horses through the season. It's a great place to take the young horses as well. And they get shifted up, just waiting. Still doesn't quite work, just not quite enough impulsion across that Oxer in the end. It's a good learning curve for both pair together. Nicely at the last as well. That will again have quite a few highlights out of that. Going to be on the 8 foots there for Carlos Sancarero and H5 Portos.
We're seeing the fence coming down, or the first fence coming down there, but as you say, there were a lot of good points in that round. Let's take one down in front, one down behind there. But yes, 4 clears so far out of the 11 that we've had going. Jump off should be really interesting. We've got 2 9-year-olds through to the jump off, and then an 11-year-old and the 12-year-old, the new combination with Aaron Ballard. So quite interesting selection already through to the jump off.
Ruben Areve of Colombia and Menvofio PS, and same other of the German-bred rides here for the rider for Colombia. Past medalist through championships, going a little while back now to the Bolivarian Games, and Grand Prix win 2-star level in Puebla in the build-up in September. He was on the 5-star Nations Cup earlier on this year in San Miguel de Allende as well, as they hosted the Nations Cup back into April of this year.
Yeah, really prestigious to be selected for those Nations Cup teams, and that's a reflection of the success that this combination have had so far together. They've been in the top 10 11 times, and Menconvio is another of these horses who's just 9 years old in the field. Gets quite close to the water at the back there, but looks to be safe. As you say, the water judges will of course have a very close eye on that.
Now, he gives himself a bit more space there. As I say, they'll ride it in different ways, again, depending on how they want to land and get the pace and the striding down to this Banorte Oxer. His strategy might have worked in terms of space, but it hasn't worked in terms of time, because it gives him 2 time faults there, 78.08. So although it's a good clear, the initial cheer suddenly gets sapped out of the room.
Stifled cheers, yes.
Yes, suck it back in again. Because it was looking like a clear, and then 2 time faults on the board. But I say, very nice round overall. And I was just pointing at one part of the course, but it can be anywhere in there, just accumulation that gives you a couple of extra seconds. And, well, it's only Contender, but actually that is Gregory Wathelet. I can say that without any worry at all. With a 15-year-old Nevados S for the rider from Belgium. And again, to have his super edition onto the list here for Major League. He's actually onto the Trelawney Trailblazers for the team coming up for these final stages as well. Now, actually, he spent time in California. It's not so unusual for him to be on the other side of the Atlantic now, because he spent the winter in California in the early part of this year. Probably going to be there next year as well. He'll head to California in a couple of weeks as well, of course, the final stages of Major League, and has been down here for the Mexican 5 stars as well. Nevados S, if you haven't seen this horse before, 5-star Grand Prix winning horse, absolutely super, and would be a big danger for many here this week.
Yeah, Nevados is very much among the world's very best horses, has just had so much success. You know, last year winning Rolex Grand Prix in Windsor. But as you say, you know, the wins that this combination have had in their career together are just sort of too many to mention. All the way up the levels.
And actually he's coming in with confidence, because he actually flipped back to Europe last week, won the World Cup in Lyon and came back again.
Exactly.
The world is a small place. Just a touch on that.
A man on form. But yeah, pretty amazing to be able to nip over to win a World Cup, and then now here bring one of his most experienced horses to this competition as well. What a great string of horses that Gregory has.
Drops the final fence to finish on 870.17 there, Gregory Wathelet and Nevados S.
Just ended up getting a little bit long and strung out down that final line, and ended up very close to the final fence, and it's not the first time that we've seen that happen. You know, especially towards the end of the course, takes a lot of accuracy, and you know, it's a question set by our course designer.
Patricio Pascal and Alicia Santa Rosa for one of Mexico's best as well. Patricio, again, we've seen so many times over the Mexican shows, and he's a mainstay of those and of the Mexican team over the years as well. He's been building up nicely with this horse. Had a very good horse in Babel that in the last few years has put him into some major championships as well, including world championships.
Yeah, Babel, as you say, was a fantastic ride for Patricio. That was the horse with whom he went to 2 World Championships and a Pan American Games. He sits just outside the top 150 in the world rankings at the moment. Alicia Santa Rosa, another 9-year-old. There's a bit of a pattern emerging here. And again, you know, this is a horse that is stepping up the levels this week. Last year, they competed in the 2-star classes and in fact won the 2-star speed class. Earlier on this year, though, they won 2 5-star classes in Copexpan. That was back in March. They've only jumped 2 rounds above 1.50 m in height, so that, you know, gives you a little bit of context as to they've done extremely well at a slightly lower height of fences, and now they're stepping up to this 155 track. Just inside the time for Patricio, but just one of those final fences coming down as well. But I think he'll be very pleased with that round, because, you know, it's a horse stepping up to the 5 stars, stepping up to this height of fences. Patricio dressed for the weather there as well.
Yeah.
Just takes the inside line going through the double there, just to make sure he doesn't waste any time. But the Banorte fence there coming down.
Jordan Coyle for gold, and has been a building partnership for Jordan this year. Was a new ride for him. It was a well-established one before that with a different rider, and 12-year-old Holsteiner by for fashion, and it has proved a winning one as well, as you'd expect with Jordan from that point of view. He's very good at producing winning partnerships, and very different to some of the other horses that we see him ride. A smaller type, but certainly Jordan showing his versatility with this horse as well.
Yeah, he does ride a lot of different types of horses. You know, we see him with Ariso, much bigger striding and larger horse. Picador, another one of those slightly smaller ones, but he really has gone fantastically well with For Gold so far. He's been in the top 10 14 times with Jordan, just under half of the time clear. But they've had some podium finishes in 3-star Grand Prix earlier on this year, one down in Florida and one at North Salem. And this horse won, it was second, excuse me, in the 2-star Grand Prix over in the desert last year. At 12 years old, you know, relatively established horse, and certainly going from strength to strength with Jordan. Be really interesting to see the team lineups tomorrow, and could be a contender for the Spyco Spies, I'm sure.
Yeah, just had to make a little move out there, edged out, got himself some space to clear that final fence as well. So we're adding to the clears now with Jordan Coyle and For Gold, that are proving once again a very good combination of producing those zeros.
Yeah, and as I say, we've got the team competition coming up tomorrow, and with some new faces on our lists for this week's competitions. It'll be really interesting to see who the teams choose to field, because, you know, the likes of the Trailblazers, they've got Gregory Watherley here, so he'd be a great choice for them, but they have got such a strong list of riders. We've got the young Greek rider, Yoli Matilignou, who has joined Team Eye Candy. She might well be on their squad as well, but Nicholas Pizarro joins the Crusaders.
He does, and Nicky's been part of Major League before now as well. Proved very successful indeed. Atlantica du Soleil Z, 11-year-old mare by Atlantis Rushuva for one of the very best. Actually came out top in a survey of 100 people last night. But named the top Mexican rider, Nicholas Pizarro, was the one they named. It was just the most popular answer, but he's one of the most popular riders as well, and certainly deserving of that. Part of the team for the Pan Am Games just a week or so ago as well. That's all flying past too, but again, key alongside his teammates for getting their Olympic qualification as well for Paris 2024. So he's certainly been under pressure in the last few weeks, so he's obviously going to keep relishing getting the blood flowing.
Yeah, he's been jumping in a lot of really high-profile competitions, a lot of 5-star competitions over in Europe this year, and that's the sort of consistency of placings has caused him to climb up the world rankings recently as well. He sits in 32nd place at the moment, but as you say, 4 championship appearances for him already on his career.
Just stutters at the vertical and has that down, so finishing on the 475.41 for Nicholas Pizarro and Atlantica du Soleil. So they will finish on 4, going to 7th place at the moment for a rider from Mexico. 6th spot at the moment is Ruben Arriave of Colombia on the 2-time force. 5 clears with Richard Vogel, Erin Ballard, Keane O'Connor, Emanuele Camilli and Jordan Coyle on that list to date. Al-Nassr and Dorado del Riverland. Again, step up for this 10-year-old here this week for this French-bred horse by Untouchable, but you were watching him win the Grand Prix a few weeks ago in trial.
Yeah, fantastic performance there to take that Grand Prix. He was the only double clear, and so was able to clinch that win. But, you know, again, Niall is a rider who is another good example of the really top-class field that we have in the team competitions as well. He's on the Trailblazers squad, and they've just got the pick of some fantastic talent here this week. Dorado de la Riverland is just a 10-year-old. Only had 2 starts over 1 metre 55 fences, so it'd be interesting to see how this horse goes, but they're actually 74% of the time clear at 1 metre 50.
And that's how you move up. You get consistency and you move on to the next stage and so on and so forth. That's
exactly
how you'd hope it would work anyway. That's
That's the plan.
That's the plan.
Interesting as well to see Nyland and Evergate Stables taking on Ivory TCS from Daniel Coyle just a couple of weeks ago, or about a week ago as well. It'll be really interesting to see that partnership. But Dorado de Riverland, really consistent, as you say, and Niall steps this up well to this level. He's got quite some pace up coming to the water jump there.
Now just again stay quietly down there, and they do 74.66, and just nicely hurdling the last for Nasa and Dorado Riverland, as you say, keep with that consistency and give us clear round number 6.
Clear round for Nasa from Egypt with Dorado de Riverland, number 6 for the jump off. Number 18 from Israel, Ashley Bond with Donatello. 1-4-1.
Back to a lady who knows her way around this arena. Won one of the Grand Prix here last year as well, Ashley Bond and Donatello. Of course, it was a 2-week series with a win for Lily Keenan and Ashley Bond as the respective 5-star Grand Prix winners. Ashley with the 12-year-old Donatello. Donnie needing very little introduction these days. It's so well established. I say was a winning combination here last year. A World Championship ride, Olympic ride. Second in the American Gold Cup a few weeks ago at, of course, Traverse City. Yes, it can be counted in months now, but it still can be counted in weeks, but it flies by.
It does fly by, and it was an amazing performance, and one that's certainly etched into my memory. Ashley and Donnie did an amazingly fast round in the jump off there, and when she came out of the ring, she said, "If Carl beats me, he beats me," and he just did. But to watch her round, you would have thought it was unbeatable. It was just brilliant. But you know, as you say, this combination have had some fantastic results. Not only that one in the American Gold Cup, but of course Ashley being part of clinching an Olympic qualification as well for her country.
And of course so successful with her team here as well as part of Major League as well, with Helios.
Yeah, fantastically successful last year. Team Helios just kept on winning.
This is getting good as well, but then, as I say, you sort of expect it from this pair. I don't want to put any curse on the front two, but they should cope with this all right. They've gone round very quickly, as they do. That is their natural way of going. 69.58, cruises inside the time by over 7 seconds, and so we'll put them into the jump off as well. And now Nasa and Ashley Bond giving us 2 on the backs as we'll go to Brazil, USA, Belgium, Germany, Great Britain, Mexico. Still down that list. It's looking very wide and worldly.
I think Ashley was the first rider to go under 70 seconds here as well. She's definitely one to watch in the jump off.
It's about doing it in the jump off as well, that's the thing. And they can, as we know. Eduardo de Menezes of Brazil. Now, talking about good records here, actually he was second in the Grand Prix here last year as well. Different horse this time, an H5 Origi Horta. Another one, a 9-year-old here, the wonderfully talented Eduardo, in very good hands here for a Pan Am Team Gold medalist from 2019, last time around in Lima. Eduardo, part of the H5 team. So over at Carlos Hank a little bit earlier on.
Yeah, and this horse used to be ridden by Carlos as well.
Well, they do move some of the horses around, and again, it might well move back to him, etc., etc. But that's the great thing about having a stable like that. Nice and balanced down that line, handles that easily down to that skinny. Again, about having enough pace on, but control all the way while doing it.
This horse won a 2-star Grand Prix in Lille earlier on this year, but this is their first week at the 5-star level. Eduardo sits just outside the top 100 in the world rankings at the moment as well. And you can only do that with a lot of consistency.
Well, it should also show you the consistency and the ability of what we've got in the sport, and the depth we've got, you know, for a rider like him who's as talented. Is one, it's great he's up there, but two, that he's not even higher.
Yeah.
You know, it's fantastic. But he's been producing a set of very good horses through this year. It's going to be a really interesting couple of years coming up for him. And he's going to be a little bit over the time, but I don't think he's going to worry about that too much, as you say, first time into the 5 stars there with Orochi Horta, and a horse that comes up from the line of Erenice Horta as well, which is those that you can all do that streets. Good consistent combination together, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how that one plays out as well. So that going into 8th place at the moment with the 1 time fault there. Ruben Arayave into 9th on the 2 time faults. 7 clears at the moment. Natalie Dean alive and awake with Nespresso. We'll do wakey. Vant Lakehoff though to give the full title. By Cicero Z, 10-year-old for Natalie, and has now become a well-established part of the US scene as well. And very swiftly out of the young riders, going into being an established senior part of the US roster as well. Nations Cups this year, Falsterbo, Aachen, Spruce Meadows, some of their biggest, and as part of Team KPF as well, has been super for them, including that win in Traverse City that put them a little bit back further up the table again.
Yeah, it was really instrumental, Natalie's performance in that great win for Team KPF, and that sits them in 5th place in the overall standings at the moment, which is quite the jump considering they were in joint last place. So that shows you how quickly things can change and how tightly packed the teams are this year in terms of points, but Natalie being such a key part of Team KPF. She's another rider who has had a lot of time over in Europe this year, but I was just making a little bit of a noise there at the hoof in the water, so she'll pick up 4 for that, which is a shame. Nespresso, as you say, is a 10-year-old, and another one becoming more established at these higher levels. But good for time, but the hoof in the water causing the problem there.
4 points for Natalie Dean with Nespresso Latte de Sol. In the arena, number 21 from Medium.
So leaving Natalie on the 4 to go into our top 10.
Yeah, real shame there. You know, she looked like she would have had the stretch over the water, but sadly there was a splash.
Yeah.
And that will incur 4 penalties as well.
Emily Conte now of Belgium, and Valento CS by Balou de Roy on the 12-year-old for both the Conte sisters competing here and over the next few weeks as part of the tour. It's been both for Major League and, as I say, the Mexican shows that they've been competing at. And Emily, the younger of the 2 sisters, again has been blazing her own trail as well. She herself a young rider, team gold medalist. Placed well in Florida, saw quite a lot of her in Wellington earlier on this year as well. That's been a good ground for them to really get some super experience at too. And a few to have that down. But again, a week here in this classy arena. And that's certainly a good one to add some good mileage, one hopes.
Definitely, and it's a great opportunity for the younger riders to get the experience alongside some of these more established names as well. As I say, team gold at the Young Rider Europeans, individual bronze as well.
Of the stage, and I think she's going to retire. Not to be today, but again, we'll take the thoughts away from that. What needs to be developed, sorted out, grown from, all of of that will come, and that's with experience. As say, young rider coming in, and that's what you need to do. You need to get that ring time. So Emily decides to retire this time around. Nice jump from earlier on. Nothing too much wrong with the round either. Just getting a little bit out of their pace towards the final stages and just starting to roll up the score. Balance there, I say, but there were some really good spots in that round as well. Rupert Winkelmann and Calvados Sun for the 11-year-old for the German rider. Again, he's been on the Mexican tour over the last few weeks, placed in San Miguel, actually headed up to Canada as well, Spruce Meadows over the summer up in Canada. Couldn't be too much further apart, the two of those. And had a nice win in Jalapa as well in October down here in Mexico too. So he's been cruising along nicely, just tucking some good results underneath it. Rupert again has been part of teams before now for the German rider. Often again spends the winter in Florida. Came through the U25 series there as well.
Yeah, Rupert, as I think you were saying earlier, has got a couple of rides here this week. Calvados Sun here, and then Duberry as well. Oh, that's a pity for Rupert Winkelmann. Just chips in and just doesn't go their way at the water there. But it still will just incur the 4. But that's having a little bit of a knock-on effect here now down through the double. Working on the 8. But as I say, 2 good rides here this week for him. This 11-year-old being the choice to try to get him into the Grand Prix.
2 shots of that with tomorrow's individual class as well. Finishes strongly, but it's going to be a little bit of time on top of that. It's going to be 10, so 2 for time to add to the score there at 78.48 for Rupert Winkelmann and Calvados Sun. German rider. Just down on their nose already, coming down early. Last fence just held off enough to just give it a gentle rattle, but it stayed up there. Equine America Ivanhoe for Matt Sampson of Great Britain. Had a nice 2-star win for Matt to kick off the week yesterday as well. On the 10-year-old by Moreau. And this was a horse that was with Ellen Whitaker, if I'm right, and Sam Walker for a little bit.
Yes, exactly. It was with Ellen Whitaker for a little while, and then went over to the young Canadian rider Sam Walker, now with Matt Sampson, who has been going very well with this. Matt rode this horse in the team competition for making his debut for Team Eye Candy in Greenwich at our last team leg. Also won a 3-star Grand Prix in Vancouver in the summer as well, and at this height this horse is 73% of the time clear.
Yeah, and Matt's had a really good 12 months because he's won 5 stars at Spruce Meadows on more than one occasion now. Won the London Grand Prix indoors on home ground back in December of last year. So as I say, he's kicked off this week well, and I've been watching him for years and he still can't keep his tie and slippered jacket.
Well, he can't do everything.
No, but and my serious comment is it's nice to see him with a group of horses, and he's from the north of England, and he's been really hard worker over the years, developed some some really good results behind him, and not always some good horses, but never the great horses, and it's good to see him with some really good horses and getting some great results. He won the Hickstead Speed Derby a few times, so really competitive, and he's a great one for enjoying a win as well. Now let's get this one home, hopefully. Gets a nice turn up back there, nice balance into that vertical. A little bit of a move up to the last, and they'll be okay for time. 75.10. Matt Sampson and Ivanhoe getting themselves home as well with a clear, and will take us up to 8 clears so far. This 5-star here this afternoon in a bit of a murky Monterey, unfortunately.
not a word that you would often associate with Monterey, but actually the cloud is slightly lifting over the mountains. We can just about see
I
that.
can literally see it drifting. It almost looks like smoke across the
It's
the
atmospheric.
hills.
Atmospheric, you could say.
Yeah, it looks like the sort of stage. It just starts to sort of get the dry eyes pumping. But yes, if I hadn't seen the wonderful backdrop that there is yesterday, I would not believe you, but it is there. Veronica Tracy is going now with Kalosri Caden for the US right now. I mentioned her a little bit earlier on because I mentioned she was the owner of Sapano Balu Bay. And she is a successful rider in her own right, but Veronica Tracy this time with a 13-year-old Irish-bred horse by Lux Z from the line of Kalosri Cruzette for Veronica. Again, she's been here in Mexico for the last few weeks and was 6th place in the 3-star Grand Prix in San Miguel as well for her. Another one that's also produced a few horses that are going on now to 5-star ranks.
Yeah, this horse has only had 2 starts at this height of fences, 160, and they were 30% of the time clear across 20 rounds at 1.50 m. So again, you know, they're just stepping up to this level, not too experienced over these slightly bigger fences, but overall this year they are 62% of the time clear. Shows some consistency up and down the levels. I was about to say she's got a good pace up here, and that then causes her to have the A element in the double combination down, sadly. Kalosri Caden really looking for the next fence, very positive approach.
Gets home with a little bit of time as well, takes her from the 8 through to 11, but you say one of their early bigger classes together for Veronica and for Kalosri Caden. Ashley Vogel and Namaste. 20, round about 25 would gone out of this lineup actually so far. For the 33 in total that we'll see. We've seen 8 clears out of the group at this stage, Ashley, with the 10-year-old Belgian bred horse that goes back to Elvis Terput, and again has been a good part of the Spyco Spies this year. And she's a rider that's come through for the young rider ranks, gone well in the U25s before now, and has been under the watchful eye of Shane Sweetman, who's been leading the team for the Spyco's farm team as well. So it's been going very nicely over the last few years. Young rider, team gold medalist, going back a couple of seasons now. Again, it's been really a season of gaining experience. She was on the side, I won't say sidelines, but she was prioritising her studies over the last year or so as well. And has now this year had the chance to come back into this full time. Little doubt there that was a splash in the water. Good dose of blue in the air, but hesitant down there. But the key is to do exactly what she's doing here. And just try and get them, but unfortunately they're getting very hesitant at this point. And she's just going to take a turn and get them back in the groove possibly. Dropped them out of their rhythm. She wants to get them back in a nice rhythm coming back to this fence. A little bit hesitant, but will possibly have a run at this final line to try and put that right. See what she does. She's not going to.
Saving it for another day.
Yeah, hand goes up, deciding to retire there for Ashley Vogel and Namaste. Stronger through the double there. And here, well, say we're just struggling after the water, and then they were in the wrong spots there through the double, just because it's accumulated together.
Knock-on effect.
Knock-on effect, and you can start a new round next time around and you'll be absolutely fine. Federico Fernandez and Davidoff, 14-year-old by Olympic Fire. One of the most experienced of the Mexican riders. Lovely to see him here as well. Always vastly popular too. 3 Olympic Games, 7 World Championships to his names, and he was down at Pan Am's just a few weeks ago as well on their team for Mexico to get a 4th spot there, and at Paris qualification as well. So he's still very much a flag bearer of the team for Mexico as well in a big way. Great senior, and just a great guy to follow around as well and to chat with. Right, Davidoff wasn't the horse he rode at the Pan Am, so again that shows he's got a good stable of rides to be able to pick through there.
Yeah, not his horse for the Pan Am Games, but he did ride this horse on in a Nations Cup in San Juan and in the World Cup at Puebla as well. So, as you say, fantastic to see the depth of his string of horses. Also finished in the top 10 in the 5-star Major League Grand Prix in both San Miguel de Allende and also here in Monterey last year. 2 top 10 finishes in a row with this very horse. Not going to be top 10 here today, sadly, with that pole. And again, fence 5, the semi-fence, has caught out a lot of riders.
Looks like the flag has gone up from the water.
Such a pity.
Strides down there. Just getting a little hesitant down that line. Got a little bit more rhythm to the latter part. Then looking nicer down this final line, as we've seen so many times from this pairing. There we go. Gets them home with 12. One of those is a wet foot in the water jump, and a couple for time there. Finish on a total of 14 for Federico Fernandez and Davidoff this time. Certainly not the last, I would think, and certainly not the first to have had that skinny down on the way back down to the entrance. Again, just naturally guides you down to the in gate.
Yeah, there are various places around the course here where, as you say, it encourages the horses to get a bit strung out and to run on a bit. That's why some of these turns then become quite difficult.
Only Mitlaneo and L'Artiste d'Oxample for the rider representing Greece. Only with the 12-year-olds. But again, she's had more of an impact now. She's came through the U25. In fact, that is Kathleen Driscoll. Looks like we're skipping over. Lolly, we're going to Kathleen Driscoll and the US rider with Aron for the Plain Bay team. Kathleen, if you were following the American Gold Cup, featured well there, and at Greenwich, of course, as well. Although we had a team class there that went very well, Kathleen Driscoll was the centre of that. Her debut onto the team there, made it a winning one, and was the leading rider through Traverse City season this year as well, and that meant she was the leading rider from what kicked off in June right the way through to the completion of the American Gold Cup. Wins in Tryon, wins at Greenwich, like I've mentioned. Traverse City, trains with Katie Prudhomme and Aubrey as well. Really hard working, really effective this year. She's really stepped up a gear, and that's
That's unfortunate, and it's unusual as well. As you say, they've been going really well and really gaining the experience, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, it comes back well. Was just taking the pace off, and then the communication dropped off. Like anyway, and as I say, the effectiveness is how you come back, and she came back to that very nicely, no problem.
Yeah, really didn't let it upset them or get them in a flap at all. That was extremely quick over the water.
Yeah, good.
But it will be costly for time now as well.
Keeping going with confidence. Right. So some are more suited. One or two wanted to get the 6 down there. Most talking to them wanted to try and get 7, even if it was going to be quite a holding 7 down there. It just seemed to. Most said it was more comfortable, but again, as we all know, depends what you're sitting on. On a score of 4, it's going to be time obviously to add to that as well. There it is, 18 the time. We know the time allowed is 77 seconds, so 18 there for Kathleen Driscoll and Aron.
4 points plus 14, 18 points. 15, 9, 7, 11.
Cara Chaz interview for Canada. One of, I think, 3 left to go. 3 is the plan. Cara Chaz with Kidamo F, 13-year-old by quality 9 for the Canadian rider. Actually has been part of World Championships going back to 2018 for the Canadians. Nice, more recent time win in Tryon in the last few weeks in October. Regular top 5s through September as well at Calgary. And he's based out of Vancouver at Thunderbird, which we were earlier on in the year. In Langley. The wins coming there as well. Again, partner Matt Sampson producing some good young horses through as well, but both having a good season, although we come at the end of the year, but a good season so far in Canada. Gets airborne over the water. Gave herself plenty of space to it though as well. That might just have a little impact on time later, we'll see. Got to be back up facing the fence and through that double as well. It's just how some have landed in a little bit of a heap and she didn't. Get yourself back and come through. They're balanced on a good rhythm. Time-wise might just start to get a little bit close. Should just about be enough. But it's going to be close.
Go, go, go!
76.84. I did say it was going to be close. Going clear there for Cara Chaz and Kidamo F to add to the clears. Gives her 9 clears now as part of the first round of this Grand Prix qualifier here this afternoon. Supported by AFFLUX, thanks to a long list of fantastic supporting sponsors throughout this week and throughout the season of the Major League events. Ireland, Shane Sweetenham, R.R. Kumbela, a 9-year-old here, Iconic de Lee. Argentinian bred for Shane. Shane on the back of his first World Cup win in the last week or so at the National Horse Show as well. James Can Cruz. But again, you've just got to keep an eye on the other horses that Shane's got coming up, although James Can Cruz gets a lot of the spotlight at the moment. He's been so good as he has throughout his career and with terrific support with owners and combining that with his own terrific horsemanship as well to keep producing horses that will be coming through. And the blue as well with the Spy Coast Farm. Kumbela getting some good experience this week. He's actually got a very strong team that for 2024 should leave him with some real firepower to get these big shows. That was very efficiently done away from the water as well. Looking a little bit of a smaller type than some we've seen Shane with before now. Super ability. And should just time this absolutely right. Yep, 75.09 and gives us the 10th clear round with Shane Sweetenham of Ireland and R.R. Kumbela to produce the clear as well. So Shane in with a shot this week, as he is pretty well every week. Comes in with that World Cup win behind him in the last few weeks as well. Last year's American Gold Cup winner. Caitlin Campbell and Amir should be our last combination to go. 14-year-old Emir. Dubai, what's called Dubai, Eurocommerce Dubai, as was his full title when competing. Line of Cardente. Caitlin Campbell of the US, based down in, or across in California these days. And she'll be on home ground at our next stage, which is just a couple of weeks away. 2 weeks at the Desert Horse Park. She's been competing over on the east coast of the World Cups in the last few weeks as well. Was part of the team, the winning team, just a little touch at that plank there. That's Greenwich in the team competition. Through the double without too much trouble. It's a pair that have had some good mileage now. No trouble at the water, which you would hope at this level by the time they've reached 5-star. Shouldn't be looking at it too much. So she got down there on the 6th and say it was perfectly possible. Just might be a fraction close on time. I'm not sure, she's not going to make this. It's a nice round put together, but it's going to be not enough in terms of making the time allowed. So it's going to be 78.74, so 2 for time for Caitlin Campbell and Amir. So that will wrap up round 1 with 10 clears on the board. Unfortunately for Caitlin, she's going to be in 13th position with the 2 time faults there. And we're looking forward to seeing 10 of them back to ride for the money here. To say the rain has just stopped. It is damp, but it's certainly not the end of the world. And we're looking forward to some hot competition through the rest of the afternoon. Richard Vogel, Erin Ballard, Cian O'Connor, Emanuele Camilli, Jordan Coyle. Those are a few of those that have already produced out of this class. Kindly sponsored by AFFLUX, our sponsors of this Grand Prix qualifying. Well, let's take a look at how it phased out for round 1. I say we whittled it down to 10 clears, and Richard Vogel will start us off with Sapano Balubay. Strong through this whole of this jump-off. Really looking forward to this, actually. Erin Ballard, Cian O'Connor, Emanuele Camilli, and Jordan Coyle for gold will doubtless be going for this. Now, Nasa, Dorado, Riverlands. Again, 1 or 2 combinations in here that haven't had quite so much experience. A lot of eyes will be on Ashley Bond and Donatello to do their usual thing of get round here quickly. Matt Sampson and Ivanhoe, Cara Chad and Kedamo F go one after the other. And then it is going to be Shane Sweetnam and R.R. Combella to complete the lineup. What a nice mix we've got. We've got Germany, we've got Canada, we've got Ireland, we've got Italy, and then we've got Egypt, and we've got all the way through a great showing of what is a tremendous international field here this week in Monterrey. So that is what it looks like after round 1. 10 of them as a clear so far, and just moments away going into the jump-off here in Monterrey. As I say, a reminder over the next couple of days of what it looks like, and we are going to be having everything from the team class tomorrow to Sunday's Grand Prix as well. So that's how it looks of those so far. Going to be a strong group to start us off into the jump-off. Richie Vogel first to go, Erin Ballard, and Jordan Coyle in the first 5 with for gold. Could certainly give them plenty to think about here. Had a good start yesterday with a nice win for them as well. And then down into the latter part, we get to the likes of Shane Sweeten, who's last to go with the 9-year-old again. This is where they get to test out some of the buttons of these horses that are really starting to get to the end of this year, get some good experience together, and could be a closing out win, we'll see, right down to the last. So good lineup coming up for them here for this Grand Prix qualifier. And we're going to catch up with Hannah as well for a lady who's out there on the field here in Monterey and seeing what it's all about in this beautiful spot.
Well, what a competition we have had already here in Monterey. The first visit for Major League Show Jumping to Mexico this year in this stunning arena, expansive grass arena. We've been competing on grass and on sand all season so far, and this is one of the most spectacular locations that we have brought you yet as we head into the run towards the finals, which will be in California. Well, 33 riders were on our start list for this Grand Prix qualifier today, and we've had 10 that come through into the jump off. You've seen the lineup of them there. It's a very international field and it's an extremely strong lineup as well. 10 going through into the jump off. 8 of those are ranked in the world's top 100 and 4 of those into the jump off are ranked among the world's top 50. That tells you the caliber of riders that we've got here in Mexico this week, and certainly talks to the caliber of the riders in the jump off as well. Well, the course has been set. It's been a really tough test here already here today, with lots of poles falling all the way around the course. The water jump also causing some problems, and that is something to look out for in the Grand Prix as well. Of course, they're looking for a good result here today. Over $142,000 on the line in this competition. But they're also looking for a top place in the Grand Prix, and that will take place on Sunday. Remember, those who are placed at the top of the tree here this afternoon will have the best position going into the Grand Prix on Sunday, and that's something that they're looking for as well. Well, the horses will be coming into the ring for the jump off in just a moment's time. We'll hand over then to the team for those first horses coming back into the ring for this jump off, where it's all about speed.
Well, setting up for that jump off, the team, Anthony D'Ambrosio and his arena crew are just setting the course for that. As you can see, some of the shots from a sunnier day yesterday here in Monterey shows the beauty of this venue. I know they're not real flowers, but there are plenty of them that are real up on the hillsides here and overlooking this wonderful spot. Historic spot as well. It's certainly, as they would say, a venue of legends, because over the years, not only has it entertained the 5 stars that we see here through the 2020s, but going right back to the 90s and even just a fraction before that as well, into the days of what was called the Pulsar Crown, where some of the biggest riders in the world were flown over here. It was all very glamorous then, as well as it is today, but even then it was setting new standards here in La Silla. And it certainly was a wonderful, wonderful spot then, and continues to be now. It's great to see these new chapters in La Silla's history here taking place over the next few months, years. All of it comes together. As I say, the last couple of years we've seen the likes of Paul O'Shea as a winner, Lily Keenan, and of course as well with Ashley Bond there as well, who has another shot this week of adding to the history book list here for this storied venue. So a few minutes off the start, and we'll be, as I say, bringing you this week not only the Grand Prix here on Sunday, but tomorrow afternoon as well. Mid-afternoon kickoff there for what is going to be the team competition as well. And so hopefully it'll be blue skies, as you can see here too, because you want a wonderful shot of the mountainside here. It is truly spectacular, and it is amazing to think of a horse show that is sitting in what looks like such a natural environment as well, all around it too. It's just carved out of there. The grass itself absolutely perfect. It looks as though it came out of here since the days of the dinosaurs. This is all stood here as if it was supposed to be here. Absolutely wonderful. There we have a little bit more cloud cover today, but we will be certainly not gloomy in attitude, because we are here for excitement and all for entertainment and to see the best of the best. And we're just going to be a couple of minutes until our team are all ready to go. And looks like our first is making the way down, and as I say, that a scene from yesterday. This is the scene today, a little bit grayer, as I say, I'm afraid, and murky, but we're going to bring you the lights. We're going to bring you the flame of speed and excitement. Now, it looks like we've got a withdrawal. I think Richard Vogel not going then, by the look of it, into the jump off, saving the horse for later in the week. We will see. I'll just get that confirmed, but Richie was due to go first. So we're actually going to our second in the order, which is Erin Ballard and Labido. And then for this course, they start with a new fence 15, Major League fence, as you can see there. 3, 4, 7AB, new fence 16 as well, 9A and 10. So turn back to the Bears, to the Oxford. There is actually a bear in the woods not too far from here as well. Different story for a different day. Turn back here to the double. Well out of there, lands there in just over, closer to 21 seconds for Erin. Coming to the sponsors fence, the AFFLUX vertical. And then here down to the final run, taking us to 10 to finish off. And there we go, 38.28 from the first away. Good start from Erin Ballard, confident start with the 12-year-old Labido. And they will be the one to beat. They're first to go. They get a clear round. Can't get any better than that. But you might be able to get better on time. We will see. So I say, looks like Richard Vogel has taken a sidestep in the jump off. A couple might decide to save them for the Grand Prix later on in the week. It's a very good prize on this class as well. But they all have their own strategy. And with Sapano Valabate, 9-year-old there as well. We will await who is next, but Erin Ballard kicks us off to a good start here into this Grand Prix qualifier.
Great rounds for Erin Ballard, 38.28. You could really see she had the pace up in a lot of places around that course. I think it could take quite some beating.
No, I think there's space. We're not going to argue.
No.
Keep it friendly, I think there's space. We will see. It all depends what we got. And it is going to be now to Cian O'Connor and Maurice, the 11-year-olds for Cian, as you say. Combination that have been coming together this year. Man with huge experience as well. Again, see what the plan here is. Here is a little look around. That route worked out. Cian, who has a fantastic team around him as well, feeding back the information where it's needed to. Feed that into the well-experienced computer between his ears. Super rider, top trainer as well. You can see him setting up to take this vertical a little bit on the angle. Again, you want to just be getting into that turn, setting yourself up for the next fence here. Shot there, and again they don't want to run down there too much, because then that will just take you beyond that Oxer at 4 when actually you're coming back to the double. So if you're not too careful, you'll just go a little too far and then you're just losing time. You've got to find the efficiency there between the two.
And you can see how Cian really used his body there to get the balance back and make sure that they weren't running on too much.
Going to come home nicely. He was a little bit steadier than that of Erin Ballard. And going to see them at 42 seconds, and so second place as you would go. But it is clear there for Cian O'Connor and Maurice. So Cian O'Connor, nice round with Maurice, and really looking forward to seeing to that. Cian has been so good at building a string of horses around him for a long career so far, and much more to come from it. So Cian into second spot, Emanuele Camilli and Odense Udeveld. 9-year-old here for the Italian. And we talked about how he's another that's been going terrifically well in the last few weeks. Nobody's here that's not been on some kind of good form, but good placings in San Miguel as well on the turf there. Nice tidy turn up to the bare fence.
Very quick across the ground here.
He is, but again, like I said, I mean, he's coming with pace. Cian turned in tighter than that, but again, Cian was it looked as though he was keeping some fuel in the tank as well for later on in the week too. Get a nice shot there, and then a nice cut across there from Manuele. Now this is looking good. He's got 4-3. You can see it counting down. It might be close. Oof. It might not be enough though. I was just thinking that down that line. I couldn't quite calculate that tight. Point to keep the lead. Erin was very efficient early on as well. Like I say, he got pace down there, but then just maybe drifted a little bit further. But a 9-year-old there as well, which is looking, really good for them. And you don't want to take too much away from it.
And some of those less experienced ones. But 0.06 of a second, what tiny, tiny margins. Erin still hanging on to that lead.
Yeah, 10 in all qualifying for this jumpers. Might be a couple that decide to not jump off. We will see. We're concentrating on the ones that do. Be taking us to Jordan Coyle next.
3 double clears already as well in this competition, so very strong performances, but that's what we would have expected with such a strong field in the jump off. Some brilliant names still to come, with Erin Ballard leading the way. And we've seen over the course of this season of Major League Show Jumping that often a strong performance in the qualifier, it can be an indicator to a good performance in the Grand Prix as well. Had plenty of people who've been in the top 3 in the qualifier, then finishing in the top 10 in the Grand Prix.
Quite sure what the hold is at the moment, but I'm sure we will resume in a second or two. Looks like another little change in the order as Niall Nassar heading in with Dorado de Riverland, the 10-year-old for the Egyptian rider. Tryon Grand Prix winner a few weeks ago, part of the Trelawney Trailblazers. Laser Trail earlier this year as well, winning the Queen's Cup at Spruce Meadows. Mere $1 million on that place.
Just a few pennies.
Yes, I'm not sure which currency it was in, but it was still big money, whatever it was. A well-established Olympic rider. As you said a little bit earlier on, not so many rounds at this level for this horse and rider together yet. So first round was a good mission for them. Nice clear there. He's getting straight up to this, but just gets already that little shift to the left-hand side. Good start.
Very good turn back there, and even though they're stepping up to this level, Niall is absolutely being just as competitive as he always is with Dorado de Riverland. Really quick back to the double as well.
There's this similar time area to Erin, around about the 20 seconds. Now again, we were only talking about 0.06 earlier, so we're not going to split hairs at this point. This is just going to come down to whether they are faster across the line or not. But this is looking very good for Niall Nassar and Dorado de Riverland. He just was going to squeak it as well. Final fence drops 36.92. 4 though for Niall, and that makes the difference, drops them into 4th place. 36.92, so it was a second and a half up on the clock.
You could see the frustration on his face there. He knew he'd made it on the time, but it's still a fantastic performance from them, and it's still really encouraging in this step up to the level.
Just put the foot on the gas down towards the end. He was absolutely right to try and get there, and it just cost them just that fraction in height in the end. So Nanasa gives it a very good effort, goes into 4th place. Erin Ballard keeps the lead at 38.28 at this point. So it looks like Jordan Coyle not coming. He's decided to step aside as well for the jump off. Often happens in a Grand Prix qualifier. They've got their eye very much on that Grand Prix later on in the week. What's 728,000 Canadian? It's about 445,000 US dollars.
Yes,
a lot of money.
It's a lot of money on the line here, and you know, not only are they looking at the Grand Prix, they're looking at the team competition as well. And you know, Jordan Coyle is a rider who could be called up for that team, but you know, he's had a lot of good, well, a lot of fantastic results, in fact, in the Major League Grand Prix.
Many times actually the winning rider for the team class.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, has had 2 Major League Grand Prix, 5-star Grand Prix wins as well. So on 2 counts, I'm sure he'll be aiming for Saturday and Sunday this week. Still got 4 left on our list though. Ashley Bond, Matt Sampson, Cara Chad and Shane Sweetnam still on the list. Even with the damp conditions that we've got, the footing is just so good in this arena. It's just really holding up very well. Something that this venue absolutely pride themselves on as well. Fantastic facilities here. Stunning setting, as we've said, but great arena and great facilities.
Exactly, and it's actually a turf that almost rides better with a little bit of juice put into it. Again, it'll take the water. I'm talking to Leopoldo Palacios, who's the sport director here as well. Yeah, we can take the wet. Actually, the good thing is, touch wood, it was wet overnight, but not going to find a wooden desk. That we didn't have as much rain as we were sort of expecting, which is great. Now it's just basically a bit damp around the edges. That's all. It's nothing too serious.
It's a bit of a cold front as well, isn't it? You know, a bit of a temperature change, but not drastically. No, just a bit of a change from earlier on in the week. And as I understand it, next week we'll be back to sunny climes as they used to.
Next week. It'll be lovely. It'll be lovely.
It will, yeah.
Looking forward to California as well in the next few weeks, but hopefully it brightens up over the weekend as well. Weather, the one thing you can guarantee with it, it will change.
It will.
It will change. It will change. And we're down to talking about the weather because we are still waiting for our next one to come along.
We're anticipating
not quite sure
4
who we're
more.
getting, because we've had quite a few changes. Could be Ashley Bond, could be Matthew Sampson. Just a moment or two. We could talk about the draw last night as well.
Oh yes, it was so
I'll let you
much
explain.
fun. So of course, if you're familiar with Major League Show Jumping, you will know that there is a draw that takes place early on in the week.
Usually too.
Yes, a task, a challenge to pit the teams against each other, and whoever comes out on top gets to go last in the order of go. Last night we had a quiz type task, a bit like Family Fortunes or Family Feud.
Family Feud, as it's called in the US.
In the US, yeah.
And 100 questions, something that's called in Mexico. It's a hugely popular format, regardless. And actually, they did an amazing job here. It did look like a game show set. We had a host doing it who was far better than me doing it.
Sensational host.
Really fun.
Really funny.
The teams were fantastic at it. Everybody really enjoyed themselves. It was really well put together. Well done to the team here. A lot of effort went into that. And they asked 100 riders. Now, the thing is, they could have asked 100 riders who's going to win this class. At the moment, it's Erin Ballard and Libido, but little way to go yet.
Yeah, exactly. The riders were really good sports in that competition last night. A win, in fact, in that challenge for the Roadrunners. So they will be in pole position going into that team of potentially 4 more to bring you in this jump off. A couple of withdrawals, Richard Vogel and Jordan Coyle opting not to come.
It looks like there's a few more, because actually this is Shane Sweetnam, who's actually down as last to go. So that whether he's skipping over, because actually it would mean we're missing Matt Sampson, Ashley Bond and Cara Chad. But we are going to go with Shane Sweetham. Shane with our Combella, 9-year-old Argentinian-bred ride by Cornet de Lee. It was a championship horse in his own right. Shane Sweetham, same target, still 38.28.
And RR Combella has actually been really consistent for Shane as well. Great to see him getting that World Cup win recently as well, just last week, that being with James Can Cruz. But he's got a few fantastic horses in his string at the moment that are now coming up to this top level. James Can Cruz, just so super talented at a very young age, and RR Combella is another, you know, similarly talented and getting the success earlier than perhaps you might expect. And he's taking some efficient lines here early on. We've got a bit of pace here, but it's certainly the efficient lines as the approach that Shane seems to be going for here. 38.28 is the time to beat.
Home with a good round.
Oof.
Yeah, it's going to be ahead, 38.13. And I can say we have got some changes because I can see Jordan Coyle is riding it now, so I'm not sure what's been going on in the warm-up, but the order has changed quite a bit. Shane Sweetham takes full advantage of it, and 38.13 puts the Irishman in front with the 9-year-old RR Combella. So it looks like Jordan Coyle is going with 4 gold.
Jordan Coyle just taking a look around the ring, just making sure that he's got his eye on his lines. Just takes a moment before he sets out around this course. New time to beat of 38.13. Potentially a combination that could get close, but we'll see.
I mean, if you're in the jump off, we've all got potential, I suppose. But we with this group, absolutely top to bottom, any one of them. And we've just seen a lovely round from the 9-year-old Combella for Shane Sweetham to now take the lead at 38.13. Good start for Jordan Coyle and for gold. A little bit wider maybe than that of Sweetham, but now he leans down and starts to get the pace going down here. Reaches out because he's got good control back to this double. Again, needs to, was having to reach and was about a second behind as well. On the 4 then for Jordan Coyle. And so gets home with the 4 faults at 39.43. And so we'll go into 6th place. And I see Ashley Bond has come into the ring now.
Having a little switch around in the order.
It seems to be an any order class.
It's a go when you like sort of approach.
Like. Yeah, I don't know what's been going on, but something has obviously happened in the warm-up. But anyway.
Richard Vogel will be coming back in a minute.
Yeah, either way, something obviously happened that we're not aware of. And now they are. Ashley Bond, Donatello, this is where it's hold on to your hats time, 38.13 leading time at the moment. Will that remain is the question. Last year's Grand Prix winner here in Monterey. Pacey start again. Good move away from the offset, but then just has to hold a little bit down there so they don't get too far, and it does give them a good shot back here. Really efficient out of there. Look at that, lands out of there in just over 18 seconds, between 18.5 and 19, which would put them very much in the frame here, as we'd expect. They just have this natural fast forward pace. 38.13 might be about to go right out the window with Ashley Bond and Donatello. It's going to be a couple of seconds up in the end, or close to it. 36.34. And Ashley Bond, Donatello will now take the lead. Closest to them otherwise was with one fence down, Nasser on 36.92. Shane Sweetham, though, was with a clear and sits in second with our Combella at the moment on 38.13, but a little bit less experienced horse with the 9-year-old for Shane. Ashley Bond and Donatello happy with Donny to get them home for a potential win again. So good stuff from Ashley Bond. Shane Sweetnam in second, Erin Ballard in third. I think we should just have Matthew Sampson potentially to come yet, and Cara Chad.
Ashley Bond is giving us some fantastic days of sport this year, some amazing performances, 36, 34. That is just something seriously special. Nearly 2 seconds faster.
Nearly 2 seconds faster, yeah. Was it 1:79? Anyway, either way, it's a new leading time, 36.34. But don't count your eggs before they're hatched. Is it going to be enough? We will see. We've got a couple of fast combinations still to come, possibly.
Absolutely. Some fantastic combinations have already come forward. Could be a win for Ashley Bond because she very much laid down a fantastic time there. But 2 more potentially still to come.
Shots from a little bit earlier on. Well, actually from yesterday, because I can tell by the sunshine.
Just giving you a flavour of the weather here.
What it's
in the
like.
week.
And actually, if you've been following here for the last couple of years, and we've been here for
Yeah.
Major League and 5-star events, it can be absolutely glorious. But today, it's just a little grey around the edges.
It's just a little change. It's certainly not a negative, you know. It's just something different for us. So we still wait for those final 2 riders. We'll keep you updated as soon as we know if we have those 2 coming forward. 3 still potentially to come. So no sign yet of Richard Vogel, but he is still potentially to come, as well as Matt Sampson and Cara Chad. But of course we will keep you up to date.
Yeah.
There are the mountains that you mentioned earlier.
I'm not going to give you a geological and geographical rundown just to embarrass myself, but there we go. Lovely artistic shot through. GMP Seguros are sponsors of the Grand Prix as well here on Sunday as well. They've been supporters of pretty well, I think, all of those big Mexican 5-star shows over the last few weeks as well. A huge thank you to them, because they are a big part of being able to create that. Some lovely fences they've got here. Again, a few new fences are on the agenda here as part of La Cia this week. Again, they keep moving up the standard all the time, as they have done. I think this one just a little bit of a reference to the Day of the Dead, which took place a couple of weeks ago. What do we call it? Around about Halloween time for some parts of the world, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, fantastic colours on some of the designs of these fences, really in keeping with where we are, but some beautiful designs, those flowers and the bright colours, just so eye-catching, and just really add something to the ring and to the design of the course. And of course, that's something that the course designers bear in mind as well. You know, it of course is very much about the height and the width and the placement of the fences, but it's also about the presentation as well.
Okay, so yes, throw your cards up in the air, because actually we've got Richard Vogel now. Sabanu Balubay, who was due to start off the jump off. Now, I would assume the horse lost a shoe, etc. So that's why we've had a little change with him, but we seem to have had a change throughout. Let's not worry about that. Let's worry about who's in the ring. And the 9-year-old that has, again, probably more wins and success on its agenda already, on its list, than probably its age would be giving way to, because of course they've already got the Rolex Grand Prix at Wellington, they had a win at Aachen, etc., etc. Some
great results.
Yeah. So shown some terrific maturity from this 9-year-old, and also do it in different ways.
He's going wide, more
Nice
wide
shot.
Out to the right before he then gets that line back.
Gave him a lovely line through there, cut across there. Again, he's going to want something similar here, as this pair are very capable of doing. Gets a really good shot in there for Richard Vogel.
Oh, this is very tight to here as
That
well.
is just going to nicely make a move across there, and this has got a very, very good chance. Coming home then for Richard Vogel, Sapanu Balubay. Just going to run right to the line, and with enough in the tank, 35.61. Already a change in leadership then, with Germany going into the lead, with Richard Vogel, Ashley Bond in second, and Shane Sweetnam in third place so far. Taking us, looks like we've got 2 left, which is Matt Sampson and Cara Chad. That is not one that I would expect to hold back here. He will go and have a chase here too. Actually, his partner Cara Chad comes up after that. So Richie Vogel takes a little bit more off the time. In fact, not quite a second. 35.61 from Richard Vogel, Sapanu Balubay, Ashley Bond, 36.34. 10-year-old Equine America Ivanhoe from Matt Sampson. Last year's London Grand Prix winner. Spruce Meadows Grand Prix winner over the summer as well. Was so efficient at that start. Yeah, they were going to be a long way off there. He was trying to make it work before he even got into that double. It just left them way off. Again, this pair haven't had too many runs together over these big 5-star tracks. It's been their first season for doing that. Just tips the toes the last between the rails, and so leaves them on a score of 8. 40.61 for Matt Sampson and Ivanhoe this time. Just lost the pace coming in there, hesitant as they went. Matt was just trying to get them across that back bar, but it didn't quite work out. Cara Chad is going to be last to go. Kedamo F, 13-year-old for the Canadian rider. Discussion between the two. Quite happy to see her win. Looks like the last out of the starting blocks. Balubay leading. She's such an athletic, flexible horse. In the hands of one of the hot riders at the moment, Richard Vogel. And already Cara a more careful run there. Flies the Oxer at 4. Giving us a good try. Shooting for places, but you'd have to say Richard Vogel already has got this stitch. She's putting a really good round together. She's got 4 seconds to get home. It's not going to beat Richie's round, but she's put a really good round together to get herself in some money. We'll see what place it is. Home with the clear, leaves her with 3 seconds adrift. 39.47 into 6th place for Cara Chad, and Kedamo have to pick up some prize money here this afternoon in Monterey as well. And so it will be Richard Vogel's Sapanu Balubay, which will once again bring home the prize money for this pair for Veronica Tracy's fabulous 9-year-old by Shaman. Ashley Bond finishing in 2nd, 6th place there for Cara Chad and Kedamo F. And we're going to get set up for the presentation and catch up with Hannah as well in just a moment's time. Shane Sweetnam into 3rd. Let's take a look at the full rundown of the results of this Grand Prix qualifying class as well. And here we go. Richard Vogel confirmed at the top, Sapanu Balubay, Ashley Bond and Donatello, Shane Sweetnam in third, R.R. Combella. Fourth place, Erin Ballard and Libido. While top five is Emanuele Camilli and Odense Oudeveld. Really consistent pair that they've been over the last few weeks onto the Mexican Tour and throughout the year as well. Those with the double clears will also get some good prize money there as well. But as I say, their eyes are going to be on tomorrow, where we go up substantially with the prize money in the team class, and again big money too on Sunday as well. And so that's our top five completing this AFFLUX sponsored 155 Grand Prix qualifying class. It also gives Richard Vogel a good spot for the Grand Prix. Still got tomorrow individual class to come as well to count towards that qualifying spot. Kara Chad, last one to take a run there, finishing in 6th place with Kedar Moef. Kino Kona Maurice, 8th place to Niall Nasser and the Rada Riverland, while 9th is Jordan Coyle and for gold. And 10th place to Matthew Sampson and Equine America Ivanhoe. So that's our top 10. That's what it looks like for this Grand Prix qualifier, and it is going to be a strong one, I think, on Sunday as well. But what a start for Richard Vogel as he kicks things off for a win. That is just such a super combination. He's also got United Touch S tucked away as well. And this is going to make it very, very interesting into the closing stages of Major League Jumping this year as well. Of course, with just one step to come in California in a couple of weeks' time. Those a little bit further down the order, a couple of those, well, 3 of those actually finishing with time faults, with Eduardo de Menezes and to Colombia, and to Caitlin Campbell on the 2 time faults that group. And then Natalie Dean, just the fastest of the 4s there at 73.81 with Nespresso, and completing our top 15 is Nicholas Pizarro. But that top 12, I would think from that we'll get the prize money there, so just creeping in there into 12 spots. And then down the latter part of the order, those with a couple of fences down in round 1, including Connor Swale and Gregory Watherley. Surprising lineup for those. But again, do not be deceived by that. Keep an eye on them for maybe a bit of a comeback tomorrow as well. Potentially get them back down to the latter part of the order in that Grand Prix. And of course, as well, potentially where that will be in the Grand Prix itself, where there are going to be ones that are very much suited for that Grand Prix stage. So looking forward to all of that. Say it's going to be speed the order of the day tomorrow as well with the team class. Richie Vogel is our top man here, and what has been an amazing year for him, and it goes right back to Stuttgart last year, but now adding Monterey onto the wins, and he is with Hannah.
Well, Richard, huge congratulations. What a brilliant performance. It was a very quick jump off. Did you come here to win today?
Thank you very much. Yeah, I must say my horse is very competitive, and he likes to go fast, so he makes it a bit easier for me.
Where do you think you won this?
I think, as I said, my horse did a brilliant job. I catched one with a good rhythm, but then he was right there to turn back tight to number 2 in the jump off. And then it was a long gallop to the next oxer, and then Ashley did 7 into the double, but I was not brave enough. I chickened out, so I did the 8. So I invested a bit of time there, but then again, after he landed the oxer out of the combination, he was right there again to go a bit on an angle to the next vertical, and then he was also very good on the last line.
So talk to me a little bit about this horse, because he's not very old.
No, he's 9, but we have him since quite a long time. We got him as a 6 years old, and he got German Young Horse Champion as a 7 years old. So we actually kind of produced him up into this level. And as an 8 years old, my girlfriend Sophie Hinners overtook him, and I was lucky enough, beginning of 9 years old in January in Wellington, to get him under my saddle again. And since then, yeah, we're doing very well. He's making us happy every show we go, and even by end of the Florida season in Wellington, he could win the Rolex Grand Prix. So that was a big achievement for just 9 years old.
Huge achievement. Well, huge congratulations today.
Thank you very much.
I'll just get you to turn and have a little look at the screen over there, because we're going to play your round back. Just talk us through this a little bit. What was your strategy and what was going through your mind?
Yeah, okay, we have a big Grand Prix coming up on Sunday, so the idea was, to try to turn a bit tighter and maybe not run flat out to have him still jumping good and have enough control for the Sunday's Grand Prix. So yeah, I wanted to have enough rhythm to number 1, turn tight back to number 2, which he did very well, jumped very good, was right there in the turn. Then there was a gallop to this Oxer, which he did great, and as I said, I invested one more stride there, came in a bit slow so I could push out. And the plan was to have a nice angle onto number 16, the vertical, to get the 8 strides. I could even wait a bit for the 8, and then it was 8 strides home, a little up for me, which he jumped great.
Well, what a fantastic round. I imagine you have a keen eye on the Grand Prix now.
Yeah, for sure. He feels very good. He's in good shape, so we try to give our best, and if I ride well enough, I think I have a good chance with this horse to be clear.
Well, we look forward to seeing you there. Congratulations again. I'll let you get on with your preparation for the prize giving ceremony. Thanks so much, Richard. Well, what a brilliant performance from Richard Vogel to take the win here with just a 9-year-old. A fantastic lineup of riders and horses have come forward, but the Richard Vogel came out on top. Brilliant, brilliant performance there, and certainly one to watch in Sunday's Grand Prix. We'll also be bringing you the team competition tomorrow afternoon as well, so that's also something you really won't want to miss. We'll bring you the prize giving ceremony in just a moment's time, but join us again tomorrow for the team competition.